What comes to mind when you think of Sparta? The unbreakable phalanx of warriors at Thermopylae, holding off a vast Persian horde against impossible odds? 300 heroes sacrificing everything for glory and freedom? That's the legend that echoes through history, but it only captures a fragment of the story. In this journey, we'll span over a millennium, from Sparta's shadowy origins in the mists of myth to its rise as the unchallenged master of land warfare in Greece, and ultimately to its quiet fade into obscurity. But before Sparta even emerged, let's step back to the chaos following the Bronze Age collapse around 1200 BC. The grand palaces of the Mycenaean Greeks crumbled, cities burned, and trade networks shattered. In the aftermath, waves of invaders swept through the Peloponnese. Among them were the Dorians, fierce tribes from the north, speaking a rugged dialect of Greek. According to ancient tradition preserved by Herodotus and others, these Dorians conquered the fertile valley of Laconia in southern Greece, subjugating the local populations and laying the foundations for what would become Lacedaemon, better known to us as Sparta. Legend attributes the city's true birth to the reforms of a semi-mythical lawgiver named Lycurgus, perhaps in the 9th or 8th century BC. Lycurgus, it said, traveled widely, studying the customs of Crete and Egypt, before returning to reshape Spartan society. Whether he was real or a convenient figure to credit with profound change, his great rethra established the enduring Spartan system, a dual monarchy, a council of elders, and an assembly of citizens, all designed to create a state devoted entirely to war and discipline. At its core was the agoge, the rigorous training regime that began at age 7. Boys were taken from their families and raised in barracks, enduring hardship, scarcity, and constant competition. They learned to read and write minimally, just enough for practical needs, but excelled in stealth, endurance, and combat. Girls, uniquely for ancient Greece, received physical education to bear strong warriors. This wasn't cruelty for its own sake. It forged an unbreakable citizen army, where every man was a professional soldier. Sparta's early centuries were marked by conquest. In the First Messenian War, around 740–720 BC, they subdued their western neighbors, the Messenians, reducing them to helots, state-owned serfs who farmed the land while Spartans trained. A brutal revolt in the Second Messenian War, c. 650 BC, nearly destroyed Sparta, but was crushed, solidifying the helot system that underpinned their economy. Helots outnumbered citizens 10-1, living in perpetual fear of secret police and annual declarations of war to justify their suppression. By the 6th century BC, Sparta had forged the Peloponnesian League, a network of alliances that made it the dominant power in southern Greece. Unlike innovative Athens, Sparta shunned change, valuing stability above all. Their iron currency discouraged wealth, black broth and communal meals enforced equality, and foreign influences were strictly limited to prevent corruption. This austere machine reached its zenith in the Greco-Persian Wars. In 480 BC, King Leonidas led 300 Spartans, along with thousands of allies, to the pass at Thermopylae, delaying Xerxes' massive invasion long enough for Greece to rally. Though they fell, their stand became eternal legend, inspiring the naval victory at Salamis and the final triumphs at Plataea in 479 BC, where Spartan-led forces shattered the Persian army. Victory elevated Sparta to hegemony of Greece, but cracks soon appeared. Athens, with its growing empire and democracy, became the rival. Tensions erupted into the Peloponnesian War, 431–404 BC. Sparta, allied with Persia for naval funding, blockaded Athens and ravaged its lands. The war's turning point came in 405 BC at Aegispotami, where Spartan admiral Lysander annihilated the Athenian fleet. Athens surrendered the next year, its walls demolished to flute music, a humiliating end to its golden age. Sparta now ruled supreme, imposing oligarchies on former democracies and extracting tribute. But hegemony bred resentment. Thebes rose under Epaminondas, and at Leuctra in 371 BC, innovative tactics shattered the Spartan phalanx,
killing hundreds of irreplaceable citizens. A follow-up invasion freed the Helots of Messenia, crippling Sparta's economy and halving its territory. Demographic decline accelerated the fall. Strict citizenship rules, requiring full participation in the agoge and communal life, meant fewer qualified Spartiates as losses mounted. By the 4th century BC, full citizens numbered fewer than 1,000. Sparta became a shadow, meddling in Greek affairs but unable to dominate. The rise of Macedonia sealed its fate. Philip II admired Spartan valor, but modernized warfare with the sarissa pike and professional army. At Chaeronea in 338 BC, his forces crushed a Greek coalition, including Spartans. Alexander the Great largely ignored the defiant holdout, but after his death, Antipater subdued it in 331 BC. In the Hellenistic era, kings like Agis IV and Cleomenes III attempted radical reforms, redistributing land and expanding citizenship to revive Sparta, but conservative elites and Macedonian interference thwarted them. By the 2nd century BC, Sparta joined the Achaean League for protection against Rome. The end came quietly in 146 BC, when Rome dissolved Greek leagues after defeating Corinth. Sparta became a minor Roman town, its ancient sites a tourist attraction for cultured visitors. Even under Rome, echoes of the old ways lingered. Flogging rituals at Artemis Orpheus Temple drew crowds until banned in the 4th century AD. Sparta's religion reflected its warrior ethos, gods like Ares for battle, Apollo for discipline, and Artemis for the hunt. Festivals featured brutal endurance tests, reinforcing the communal spirit. Yet unlike Carthage's controversial rites, Spartan practices emphasized stoicism over sacrifice. Innovations were few. Sparta prized poetry and music for marching, producing lyric poets like Tartius. But its true genius was organization, the unbreakable phalanx, where shields overlapped in perfect unity, and a society engineered for eternal readiness. Sparta didn't fall in a blaze of glory like Carthage's salted earth. It faded, its rigid perfection unable to adapt to a changing world. Yet its myth endures, the idea of discipline, sacrifice, and unbreakable will. In an age of flux, Sparta reminds us that strength without flexibility can be its own undoing.